A handful of prestigious law schools, for the first time this admissions cycle, are allowing applicants to submit GRE scores instead of LSAT scores. This issues pop quiz sample questions from both. Created by 99 iStock, via Getty Images. The LSAT's monopoly eroding last year, the University of Arizona Law School became the first to allow applicants to submit general GRE scores as an alternative to taking the law school admission test. Now, a handful of elite law schools, including Georgetown, Harvard, Columbia, Northwestern and Washington University in St. Louis, have announced they will do the same. A trickle, yes, but an elite one. And remember how the GRE began to encroach on the GMAT a decade ago now? 1,300 business schools accept it. You're going to see a few more schools announce, and then a blanket permission from the ABA, and then you'll see a deluge, predicted Mike Spivey, founding partner of the test prep company Spivey Consulting. The GRE expands the applicant pool. For one, it is offered far more often than the LSAT and can be used to apply to most graduate programs, not just law school, meaning only one test to prep for. That broader access is what appeals. We had been thinking for quite some time that the guardrails to get into the legal profession were a little narrow, said Andrew Kornblatt, admissions dean for the Georgetown University Law Center. He's looking for a better cross-section of applicants, specifically in science, technology, engineering and math. He's counting on the GRE's quantitative section to identify deductive thinkers, what most of the LSAT is aimed at, sans math. This week, the educational testing service which develops the GRE, released a study attesting to the exam's ability to predict law school success. The American Bar Association ISNT SOCIR. With the GRE making inroads, the ABA's accrediting arm is reviewing its testing standards. LSAT traditionalists argue that the GRE fails to target the analytic reasoning required of lawyers. Both companies provided us with questions they say illustrate how those skills are measured. Are you a logical thinker? Test yourself below. From the analytic reasoning section, aka the dreaded logic games, each of 7 candidates for the position of judge, Hamadi, Kurtz, Jefferson, Lee, McDonald, Perkins, Ortiz, will be appointed to an open position on one of 2 courts, the appellate court or the trial court. There are 3 open positions on the appellate court and 6 openings on the trial court, but not all of them will be filled at this time. The judicial appointments will conform to the following conditions. Lee must be appointed to the appellate court. Kurtz must be appointed to the trial court. Hamadi cannot be appointed to the same court as Perkins. Which one of the following is an acceptable set of appointments of candidates to courts? A. Appellate Hamadi, Ortiz. Trial Jefferson, Kurtz, Lee, McDonald, Perkins. B. Appellate Hamadi, Lee, Perkins. Trial Jefferson, Kurtz, McDonald, Ortiz. C. Appellate Kurtz, Lee, Perkins. Trial Hamadi, Jefferson, McDonald, Ortiz. D. Appellate Lee, McDonald, Ortiz. Trial Hamadi, Jefferson, Kurtz, Perkins. E. Appellate Lee, Perkins. Trial Hamadi, Jefferson, Kurtz, McDonald, Ortiz. Which one of the following cannot be true? A. Hamadi and McDonald are both appointed to the appellate court. B. McDonald and Ortiz are both appointed to the appellate court. C. Ortiz and Perkins are both appointed to the appellate court. D. Hamadi and Jefferson are both appointed to the trial court. E. Ortiz and Perkins are both appointed to the trial court. Which one of the following cannot be true? A. Jefferson and McDonald are both appointed to the appellate court. B. Jefferson and McDonald are both appointed to the trial court. C. McDonald and Ortiz are both appointed to the trial court. D. McDonald and Perkins are both appointed to the appellate court. E. McDonald and Perkins are both appointed to the trial court. If Ortiz is appointed to the appellate court, which one of the following must be true? A. Hamadi is appointed to the appellate court. B. Jefferson is appointed to the appellate court. C. Jefferson is appointed to the trial court. D. Perkins is appointed to the appellate court. E. Perkins is appointed to the trial court. From the LSAT's logical reasoning section, the naturalist different non-human primate species exhibits many contrasts in behavior. If a zookeeper leaves a screwdriver within reach of a chimpanzee, the animal is likely to examine and play with it for a time, and then move on to something else. In the same circumstances, an orangutan is likely to pretend to ignore the tool at first. Later, in the zookeeper's absence, the orangutan may use the screwdriver to try to dismantle its cage. Which one of the following is most strongly supported by the naturalist statements? A. Orangutans are the most intelligent of non-human primates. B. Orangutans have better memories than chimpanzees have. C. Some non-human primates are capable of deception. D. Orangutans dislike being caged more than chimpanzees do. E. Not all non-human primates understand tool use. Joe, all vampire stories are based on an absurd set of premises. Since, according to such stories, every victim of a vampire becomes a vampire, and vampires have existed since ancient times and are immortal, vampires would by now have almost completely eliminated their prey. Maria, in most of the vampire stories I am familiar with, vampires turn only a few of their victims into vampires. The rest are permanently dead. Joe and Maria disagree over the truth of which one of the following. A. Vampires are always depicted in vampire stories as immortal. B. Vampires are always depicted in vampire stories as having existed since ancient times. C. No vampire stories are incoherent. D. No vampire stories depict the vampire population as being very large. E. In all vampire stories, every victim of a vampire becomes a vampire. From the verbal reasoning section, upon maturity, monarch butterflies travel hundreds of miles from their places of origin and lay their eggs on milkweed. The caterpillars that emerge feed on milkweed and absorb the glycosides in milkweed sap. The specific glycosides present in milkweed differ from region to region within the monarch butterfly's range. Mature butterflies retain the glycosides they absorb as caterpillars. Clearly, therefore, the glycosides in a mature monarch butterfly could be used to determine its place of origin. Which of the following, if true, most strengthens the argument? A. Mature monarch butterflies do not feed on parts of milkweed that contain glycosides. B. The glycosides in milkweed sap are slightly toxic to caterpillars of other species. C. The vast majority of the monarch butterflies that are laying eggs in a given region will have traveled there from a single region. D. There are substances other than glycosides in milkweed sap that accumulate in a monarch caterpillar and are retained in the body of the mature butterfly. E. There are certain glycosides that are found in the sap of all milkweeds, no matter where they grow within the monarch butterfly's range. The demands of notwithstanding, a page or two in Dahl's recent book on democracy that considered what public choice economics has to say about democratic failure, or at least a clear signpost to that literature, would have been very well spent. Select the two answer choices that fit the meaning of the above sentence and produce completed sentences that are alike in meaning. From the GRE's quantitative reasoning section, each employee of a certain company is in either Department X or Department Y, and there are more than twice as many employees in Department X as in Department Y. The average arithmetic mean salary is $25,000 for the employees in Department X and $35,000 for the employees in Department Y. Which of the following amounts could be the average salary for all of the employees of the company? Indicate all such amounts. Used cars sold at car dealership X. Price: number of cars sold under $5,007, $5,000, $7, $49,910, $7,500, $10, $0,008, over $10, $0,006. The prices of 31 used cars sold last month at car dealership X are summarized in the table above. Which of these amounts could be the median of the prices? Indicate all such amounts.